One of these textbooks, I think it's this one, it says in here, do not worry about the future, because God is going to kill all of us. Soon. They say, almost word for word, what they said in there is, do not give your life for evolution, do not give your life for environment, because the environment will be destroyed by the Lord, Well, if you believe that, then I guess you don't need to worry about the ecology. I guess you don't need to worry about the environment. But I don't believe that. And I think that we should worry about the environment. I think we should worry about the future of our kids. I think we should worry about what's going on. And I think we should understand evolution so that we can stay healthy when we're doing it. We need to understand our immune systems. We need to understand that bacteria change in a moment's notice. We need to understand that highly formed animals can't change quickly. And we're a highly formed animal. We evolve really slowly. Bacteria evolve very rapidly. Insects can evolve certain things in just a matter of a few months. We evolve slowly. We need to understand what's going on with our DNA. We need to understand what's going on with the DNA of every plant and animal that lives on this planet. That's how we survive. And if we don't do that, we may not survive. It's that simple, actually. We need to use our brains. We cannot be in the situation where we say, here's a book that's got all the answers in it. We don't need to know anything new. When my father talked to me when I was a boy, and he said, when you read a book, be sure to look in the back of it and see if there's a good bibliography. If there's not a good bibliography in there, it may be that the things in that book aren't true. And then he handed me a Bible. And I looked for the bibliography, and there wasn't one. That's all I got to say.
I just kind of wonder whether there's any kind of a reason to assume that evolution would necessarily lead to some kind of proliferation of one particular species. That's sort of an assumption in the question that I don't really quite comprehend why it makes that. I think if we look back, we know that we're coming from proliferation. That is, I understand that some comments have been that the Neanderthal does not share our genes. Are you up on that? That is, we had a proliferated species. Neanderthal was also human-related, and there's every indication that chimpanzees are of the same branch in some way or other, because they have an intelligence of a 5-year-old and are capable of manipulating language and communicating with us. So we're sharing this world already with quite a few different species that are awfully close to us. Let me also mention the dolphin. There are stories that go back all the way to Roman times of cooperation between human and dolphin. So if we're talking about intelligent siblings, I suppose, on this planet, there may be plenty already. We don't have to wait for that to develop. Beyond that, I don't know what the future will bring. And I think that is what characterizes scientific mentality, is that you are willing to live with uncertainty, yet don't know it all. That's why you're motivated to learn more. And I quite agree with that, with all the answers in one book. That's very authoritarian, undemocratic kind of thinking. One of the most frequent, since our colleague here mentioned Adolf Hitler, one of the most frequent words in Adolf Hitler's mouth was God and divine providence. Therein lies danger. It's an authoritarian kind of thinking that is not healthy.
All right. That's interesting. I don't want to step in much of that either myself. How long will it take for us to evolve into a new species? Nothing ever evolves into any new species. Well, I had to use the word species. So nothing ever evolves into a new kind. Nobody's ever observed anything change to a different kind. Bacteria are still bacteria. If they become resistant to a drug, it's because they lost the locking mechanism on the ribosome, so the antibiotic can't lock on. It's no different than somebody handcuffing everybody, hauling them off to jail to kill them, but you don't have any arms, so they can't handcuff you, so you survive. Wow, beneficial mutation. Well, it might be for the moment, but it's not any new information. Bacteria don't evolve into something else. They lose information. They're resistant to a particular drug for a short time, but then you put them back in the population of regular bacteria, and they're inferior. The bacteria are still bacteria, for heaven's sake. That's not an example of evolution. Okay. We're going to evolve how to get along. People choke because of poor design. How many of you happen to like the design of your esophagus and your trachea? I use mine. I've been using it for years. Okay, it works fine. Okay. The purpose of life is to save the planet and to understand evolution. Let's get more government funding so we can teach more of this stuff. So more kids can not only step in it, but wallow in it here. He said the eye is a poor design. Well, now let's see about that. Charles Darwin said, to suppose that the eye could have been formed by natural selection seems, I freely confess, absurd. Okay? Yet he goes on for 4 pages after that and tells how he thinks it happened. The retina of your eye is about 1 square inch. It has 137 million light-sensitive cells wired to the brain. I've done a huge amount of electrical wiring in my lifetime. I cannot imagine hooking up 137 million connections in 1 square inch. My Heavenly Father did it, and it works pretty good. It worked till a couple of years ago. I had to get these dumb things, okay? Because that's an example of second law of thermodynamics, by the way, decay. Now, I debated an atheist Ed Buckner in New York. He said the eye is poorly designed, like I believe I just heard a few moments ago. It's a poor design. He said the retina is in front, the blood vessels are in front of the retina, so they block part of the light coming in. He said the octopus has a much better eye because their blood vessels are behind the retina. That's proof of evolution because of poor design. I said, Ed, we live in the air, okay? Air is a poor insulator for UV light. Your body needs the blood vessels in front of the retina because that's your last defense against UV light. Octopus live in the water, okay? Water blocks UV light. They don't need their blood vessels in front. Now, if you want to swap eyes with an octopus, you just go ahead and enjoy yourself, but you're going to be blind in a few days, okay? Their argument from poor design is like saying, well, God wouldn't do it this way, therefore it must have evolved. That's a lousy argument for evolution. That's a proof evidence, that's an evidence to me that we were originally perfectly designed, and all of humanity is just plain falling apart, folks. And yes, God's going to have to step in here pretty soon, and we're going to all kill ourselves. Okay? Thank you so much.
Professors Reisbig, Schleifer, and Strayer, in the interest of time, seeing that we have left time for a 10-minute closing statement for each side, let's go ahead and present those now. Would you please go ahead? Thank you.
Okay, this is my closing, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, this has been an interesting discussion that we've had. I wonder how we have all changed in our minds and thinking and knowledge of what we have talked about. We've talked about some good information. I've heard some bad information. I happen to believe in the scientific method. Without the scientific method, we have no defense of sinking into ignorance and despair. And to people who do not understand the things that have been accumulated for science, we are cursed to do ignorance and ignore and what I will repeat, voodoo science, that people will believe in crazy kinds of things, and we see those kind of things going on in people today. The one thing that we have is that we have knowledge, and we have a way of testing knowledge and putting to the test of a number of people, essentially, to evaluate and agree in what is as correct as we possibly can. If we have nothing